Hey, brand builder, Rory Vaden here. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this interview. As always, it's our honor to provide it to you for free. And wanted to let you know there's no big sales pitch or anything coming at the end. However, if you are someone who is looking to build and monetize your personal brand, we would love to talk to you and get to know you a little bit and hear about some of your dreams and visions and share with you a little bit about what we're up to see if we might be a fit. So if you're interested in a free strategy call with someone from our team, we would love to hear from you. You can do that at brandbuildersgroup.com/podcall, brandbuildersgroup.com/podcall. We hope to talk to you soon.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode on the Influential Personal Brand. This is AJ Vaden here, and I have a friend on the show today with me, Clay Harbor. You guys are in for such a treat. I'm about to give you guys my version of his bio, my version of what you should know about Clay. But let me tell you first why you need to stick around for this episode. So if you have ever gone through some sort of what I'm going to call a change in identity, right? You could call it an identity crisis. I don't think that's what Clay went through, but it's a change of identity, right? So this is the show for you to talk about how do you take, a large portion of your life that was leading up to this moment, and then how do you take all of that, transition what you're doing, reinvent yourself, reimagine who you are, and then re-engage back into the marketplace. That is what Clay is doing. That's what he's been doing. That's what so many of us do at some point in our lives, both personally and professionally. So if you have ever found yourself in a pivot point situation of like, this is what I was doing up to this point. Now, what am I going to do moving forward? This is an episode that you want to stick around to. Also, I would say if you want to know how to grow maximum exposure in your online platform by doing unique things that are out of the ordinary, this is also a show that you want to stick around and stay tuned for, because we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So now let me introduce you to my friend Clay Harbor. Here's some things that I think are fascinating that you would want to know is one, Clay is a 9-year NFL veteran. Like 9 years is a long time in the NFL, in my opinion. But you were also a college Hall of Famer at Missouri State, right? So pre-NFL, you are a nationally sought out speaker. You are a personal trainer. You're a coach. You have so many cool things in your resume. But one of the things that I think is really fun and just unique are some of the things that you don't have in your resume. Like, I'm surprised that you don't have in here that you had a stint on the Bachelorette. That didn't make it in here. I think that's pretty interesting. I think also the things that are in here that really are so awesome about you is that you are so humble. Like, you are so humble. You do not talk about all these amazing accomplishments. You do not talk about all these awards. You've been featured in all major sports media. You've done brand deals for anything from Bud Light to American Airlines. And those are not things that you ever talk about, right? Those are some of the things that people will hold at the pinnacle of their career, and you don't even mention them. So I just love that about you. I love getting to know you. For those of you who are listening, Clay and I are newer friends. We have a lot of friends in common, but we're so blessed that Clay is a part of our Brand Builders Group community, and I've gotten a chance to know him and wanted him to be on the show today to talk about what it's like to go through these unique transitions in life. So Clay, welcome to the show.
Wow, what an introduction. I appreciate you having me, AJ. And I just appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience here and, have a conversation with you. And I appreciate everything that you and Rory do and have done to help me really figure out exactly what it is I want to do and to structure that. And I think that's a good lead in to his conversation is structure. Because when people ask me, how do I go from, playing in the NFL, for being in college, just working towards this goal my whole life and just identifying as an NFL player. Okay, your career's over. I have a couple injuries. Now what? For me, it's what do I want to do now? And that's a question that I had for a long time. And I didn't really know exactly where I wanted to go, and just figuring out old school way of writing down the things that you enjoy doing and going to brand builders. And the first thing they have is, what are you an expert in? What do you enjoy doing? What do people come to you for? What kind of advice do people come to you for? And having all these questions really helped me to figure out where I wanted to go with my brand after the NFL. And for me, it had a lot to do with, habits and routines and things of that nature. So that was big for me. And that's what I wanted to really chase.
I love that. And that didn't start in the NFL. Like, that started way before the NFL for you. Like, that's how you got to the NFL. So one of the things that I would love for people to get to know about you is, like, what do you think that it takes to create the extraordinary results that you've achieved in and outside of professional athletics, but, super specifically, like, making it to the NFL is a really small amount of people, right? That's extraordinary talent, but more importantly, it's extraordinary discipline and habits that are going to both serve anyone really well during their professional sports time, but then also way after. And so I think it would be really cool for you to tell people, like, how did you get to the NFL?
It's funny that you already brought it up. In my opinion, is habits. To me, when I look back at everything I did and how I was able to succeed, because you go back to college, obviously I have a natural ability. I start to realize in college early on, but it's not much different than a lot of other guys I've seen. And people have asked me this. There's a lot of guys out there that can run and jump and play football. What made you go from the same level as these guys for you to keep improving and to keep moving and improving to you get to the point where you're in this smaller college, Missouri State University? Haven't had a draft pick in 20 years from Missouri State University.
Are you serious?
In 20 years before I got drafted, there hadn't been one draft pick. And I got drafted in the 4th round of the Philadelphia Eagles. And that in itself was a huge accomplishment for everybody in the area. Wow, how this guy from Missouri State do this. And I'll tell you, AJ, it's simple, but not easy. And that is, you have to have habits. You have to have discipline, and you have to have a routine. For me, the thing that really kept me on track was having a knockout routine. From the time I woke up to I would look at my day and say, how can I fit in all these things I need to fit in? I got to make sure that I'm eating healthy. I got to make sure that I get this workout in. I got to make sure I work on catching the football. I got to make sure I'm working on blocking. And that can work in any sort of environment you're in, and any job you're in. You improve, you get 1% better every day. And then by the end of the year, you're 37% better than you were at the beginning of the year. So for me, it was getting 1% better every day, always changing my routine to be as effective as I could. And I just kept getting better as a freshman. I got better as a sophomore, better as a junior. And I got to this point to where I was a really good football player in college. And then you get drafted and go to the NFL, and you're back at the bottom of the totem pole again. It's tough. You have to make the team. You don't automatically make the team. So you have to reevaluate. You have to get a whole new routine. You're in this routine for 4 years in college. Now you have to reset. It's like you just got a new job, and I do the same thing. I go through my routine and I fix it and I make it the best I can. You go through these position battles, highly competitive environment, but you just got to focus on yourself. That's what I made sure to do. I focused on myself. I focused on my routine, and I made sure I was disciplined. I wasn't the most talented guy, but I was a guy that had put in the most time and could fit the most things in my day because I had that routine. And that's how I improved. And players that were better than me that only lasted 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, I was able to last 9. I was able to take care of my body and be able to put myself in a position to where I could take care of my family and things I've always wanted to do. Coming from an underprivileged background, it was always in the back of my mind to be able to take care of the people that were, important to me. And that's what I did. It was all about habits, routine, and discipline.
Wow. You said something that really stuck out to me. I love all of that. And I think it's so true. It's like, talent can only get you so far, right? It's like, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not going to apply that in a focused direction, there's a limit to that, right? But you said something, you said, I've focused on myself. So whether or not you meant this or not, this is what I heard. It's like, I wasn't comparing myself to other people. I was focused on what I was doing, not what other people were doing. So can you talk a little bit more about, both in and out of football, like the power of just like, putting blinders on, right? It's like, stay focused on keeping the main thing. And that is not what everyone else is doing. It's what you're doing.
Absolutely. The most important person you can compete against is yourself. You'll look online, or for me, I see some of these speakers, these guys, these athletes that I've had better careers in, and I see they're getting booked at maybe this gig, and I go, I have a better story, I'm a better speaker. You can't focus on that. You got to focus on yourself. How am I going to improve myself every day? It's the same thing in football. I look at these tight ends, these other tight ends when I'm drafted, and I say, I can do everything they can do. Why am I not getting this opportunity? Then I just focus on myself, and then that shows. You put the time in and you keep working, you keep repeating things over and over again. You have good habits, you have good routines, you have discipline. That's going to show. If you keep showing up day in and day out, you start to stack these days, and that's when you improve. You're not going to improve in football. You're not going to go from a rookie to a Pro Bowler. It's going to take you a little bit of time. Maybe sometimes, guys will get lucky with a big catch or a big play, or in the speaking world or the business world, you'll come up with just one big idea, but that's not common. What's common is you're putting in the hard work day in and day out. You're improving a little bit every day, and then you look up 6 months later, wow, I was back there. 6 months you look back, I was a guy that was barely making the team. Now I'm a starter. And that's when you keep going, and the next thing you know, like my college career, wasn't playing at all as a freshman, barely got in the field. Improve. Wow, I'm on the field now. As later in my freshman year, I'm playing. Sophomore year, next thing you know, I'm an All-American. And I look back at everything that I did to get here, and that was just a day in and day out. It didn't happen in one day. I didn't go from a guy who's getting a little bit of playing time to a starter to a 3-time All-American in one day, to an NFL draft pick. Literally, the secret, it's simple but not easy. Like I said before, the secret is in the day-to-day. The secret is in the routine, and the secret is in consistency. You got to consistently show up. Just like my time as a fitness coach, I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm a certified strength conditioning coach. You are not going to see results in a week. When you keep showing up, my mom has lost 50 pounds in the last 3 months. Wow. So I finally got her on a routine and a program. She walks a mile every single day. I explained to her, your diet, your walking, your activity level, everything comes together. Now she feels so much better. She's able to walk and play with the grandkids. She's able to travel with me when I go see my brother and all these things. But she took a day. You're not going to wake up and it's not going to happen. That's why I try to explain to people it's the day-to-day, everyday routine.
It's the exact same thing with building a personal brand. Establishing yourself in the marketplace, building a business. It's like none of this happens overnight or in a week or a month or in a year for most cases. This is, it's what they say. It's like anything worth doing takes time.
Yeah.
Right. It takes time, and it's that discipline and consistency of showing up. I think that's huge. You got to show up.
Showing up is the number one thing. You go back to me and my personal fitness brand. And when I'm doing that, here's what I tell people. If you can only go to the weight room for an hour, go for that hour. It's like in school. If somebody fails or somebody's not getting the grades they want, it's because of the missed assignments. If you get a 0% and then you get 100%, you're still only at 50%. Okay. So now you go back and you get a 60%. That's not good. I mean, you still might be failing that day, or, you're barely passing, but that 60%, then you come back and you have a really good day. You get that 100%. Now you're an 80. You go from a 50 to an 80 just by showing up in the weight room. When you miss the days, when you have the days where you don't do it, where you're not focused, you're not going to do any work. Those are the days that set you back. If you can just sit down and do some work, you keep moving forward, because every day improves you. When you stay still and don't do anything, that's when you go back down. And when you start to fail in whatever your business is, whatever your enterprise is, if it's your health, your fitness, if it's your speaking business, you got to keep moving forward, and you don't miss days. That's if you just show up every day, the discipline, have that routine, you show up, that's when you start to see the improvements.
Oh man, we could end this podcast right now. That is so good. That is so much truth, because it is like, it's like you can apply that to your finances, your health, your marriage, your relationships, your platform. It's like, I think about, as you were talking, we have a good friend of ours who was recently named one of the sales influencers of the year on LinkedIn. And It was a really simple formula. He posted a content video on sales every single week for about 18 months.
Yeah.
It was, his content, clearly it got better, his skills got better, but it wasn't like it was that different. It got better, but it wasn't different.
Yeah.
It was consistency. He showed
Consistency.
up, he gave value, and the more he did it, the better he got. But it was, he showed up and he goes, I'm committed every Wednesday. I'm going to do this video. I'm going to post it. If it helps one person, it's enough for me. And then it was helping 10, and then 100, and then 1,000, and then 100,000. Right. But it was consistency. I think the challenge is so many of us want it right now. It's instant gratification. We don't want to wait. We don't want to put in the work. It's like we want it now, and we want it, all of it right now.
Yeah, you got to be consistent. You want to grow a following on social media, your platform. It's consistency. It's consistently posting and doing things like that. What I always say is people is sometimes it's better. I know the people tell me, well, I don't know when the right time to do it is. When should I start? And I always tell them this. I go, a great plan, a good plan today is better than a great plan tomorrow. If you just get started, you don't know exactly what to do in the weight room, you know, the fitness, you go in the weight room and you get started, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you're going to get some pretty good, and you're going to keep getting better. And that's going to exponentially improve you. If you're trying to work on social media, you don't know exactly, you don't have the perfect aesthetic. Hey, start right now, start posting. You're going to keep getting better. And that's going to help you to improve in your business, in your speaking business. You know, for me, it was like, I don't know if I'm ready to do these events. Well, hey, I'm ready enough, and I'm going to learn and keep getting better. A good plan today is better than a great plan tomorrow. So you start doing it, and then you see yourself improving. You see yourself feeling more comfortable. Then you're ready to go. Everything's firing. You can set up your routine. You know what to expect. And that's another thing that gets you going. You got to get started, and you got to stay consistent.
Ah, so good. I love one of our good speaker friends, Eric Chester, always tells us and reminds us. He said the difference between a good speech and a great speech is 1,000 speeches.
Yeah.
Right. It's doing it. It's just doing it. Right. It's showing up. It's being consistent. It's putting in the work. So I want to talk about, I'm going to change chords just a little bit. And I want to talk about kind of this pivot moment that you went through not all that long ago, when your NFL career ended, and now you've got post NFL life of, all right, now what am I going to do? So can you take us back to that? And because I think a lot of people in our audience are struggling in one of those pivot moments of, they're in a full-time corporate job and they're trying to pivot to, it's like, I want to go out and do my own thing, or I want to start my own business, or maybe they have their own business and they're looking at evolving it or selling it or starting something new, or maybe they've sold their business and they're like, what does chapter 2 look like for me? And what do I want to be known for? And I can just personally say, like, I went through this in 2018 of when we had our separation from our former company. And I was known for 15 years as a sales consultant. I was really good at it and was making a lot of money at it. But I looked up one day and I was like, I don't want to be known for somebody who helps companies increase their top line and bottom line. Like, I don't want to look 15 years from now and go, that was my legacy. That's how people think of when they think of me, as they think of me as a sales consultant. I don't want to be known for that. And so it was an intentional shaping of how do I even want to be known in the marketplace? And and I think anyone who's going through a major transitionary time has got to look themselves in the eye and go, what's next? And who am I? Right? Who am I? If I'm not this, who am I? So can you kind of walk us through, like, what was that journey like, and how did you kind of get to where you are today?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. And that's something that I like helping people with. It's a journey that was difficult. And for me, it's a journey I'm still going through. I think every day it's something that you got to figure out for yourself is, am I happy where I'm at and what I'm doing? And is this the path that I want to be on? And I'm happy that I've finally figured out exactly what I want to do. And I want to thank you, firstly, and Rory, for helping me a lot with that, with brand builders. But I'll go back to 2018, NFL. I think I'm still playing. It's a little different for me because I wasn't ready to get to end. I've played this long career and I want to keep going. And I get injured during a workout, which I would have got signed with a team, the Buffalo Bills. I'm on the field. I'm working out. If I'm healthy and in shape, they're going to sign me. I'm running a route I've ran 1 million times. I run the route, I plant, I cut, I end up tearing my groin. So now that's tough. I go to the doctor, I see I'm out for six months almost with this groin tear, and I missed the whole season. And now it's a question thing for me. Do I want to continue working to get back to the NFL, or do I want to move on to something else? And for me, I continued to try to go back to the NFL. I got some calls. It didn't really go for me. So then I tried to figure out what I want to do next. And going through figuring that out, I've went through the fitness stuff. I love fitness, but what I really decided is, what do I want? I want to help people. And I can help people with their health and wellness, and I still do that. And I can help people with their story. And I think that I have a story that really could move people. And that's what made me decide what I wanted to do. For other people, it's got to be a passion. When I'm on stage and when I'm speaking to kids. I spoke to a lot of football teams, obviously being in that space, and a lot of high schools, colleges, and just speaking to them and telling them how I did what I did, how I got from here to there. And then underprivileged kids, coming from an underprivileged family to become, what I've become, and my brother, who didn't play in the NFL, and he was able to do the same thing. And our parents never graduated high school. My brother's got 3 master's degrees. He's working on a doctorate. He was the assistant director of academics for University of Colorado for 5 years. And now he moved on to start his own high school as a principal. And he just passed his superintendent exam. Now he's going to be a superintendent of a big high school. And our parents didn't even graduate high school. So using those steps, and me and him, he uses the same strategies I used. We work on a daily routine. We have positive habits. He's got 3 kids, a wife, and he's still studying to do his doctorate. And the guy works out 6 days a week. Where do you find the time? He's got a routine that helps him through that. But I think that's the number one thing, is finding something you're passionate about and using that field when you're going through this transitional phase, and really sitting down. And it's like you learn in brand builders. Write down, what would people say you're good at? What do you enjoy doing? What are the main things that people come to you for advice? And when I started thinking about that, and I realized that is how I've become so successful. How did you do this? How did you shape your body in a certain way as a fitness professional? How did you, make the NFL and gain all that weight when you had to go from a wide receiver to a tight end? You had to be at a certain weight. And I'll tell them it's simple but not easy. It's a routine, it's a discipline, and it's that. And going through that transitional phase, those are the questions I asked myself. And that's what really helped me to decide where I wanted to go. And obviously what are you good at naturally? What's something you enjoy doing? That's a big question, because you don't want to go through life, even if it is very lucrative. You want to be good at what you're doing. And for me, I wanted to make an impact in other people's life. And those were the questions I asked myself. And that's why I went to the direction I did.
Man, that's so good. It always makes you think about, like, how long was I doing something that I didn't love doing?
Yeah.
Just because I was making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that was my truth. It's like, I was not happy doing what I was doing for a minute before I actually wasn't doing that anymore. And my story is really similar to yours. It wasn't planned or expected. It was really unexpected. But I needed it. I needed, like, what they say, it's like I needed an abrupt change in my life for me to do a full evaluation. But I hadn't asked myself, what do I love doing? Maybe ever.
Yeah.
Until 2018. It's like, I started doing something, got really good at it, and just kept doing it. Yeah. But never in like 15 years did I stop to say, what do I want to be doing?
Yeah.
What do I want to be known for?
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of curious, like, for you today, like, do you have an idea of what you want to be known for in this next phase of life?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to be known for someone who's a servant to others, someone that spends his time and energy to help people better themselves. And you got to do that by first, bettering yourself. And then you help people find that path, that same path that you did to improve yourself. And if that's for business, if that's for health, that's something that I'm really passionate about. And just going from where I grew up, going from where I started from to where I finished, and my story and my brother's story and my family story and things like that. I want to see those results for a lot of people, for more people that can get out of this you're perpetually like you're poor or whatever. And there's ways that you can improve yourself and help your whole family's future. And that's what me and my brother really took to heart. We would talk as kids. I mean, these aren't normal conversations kids have. I remember me and my brother sitting up and talking to each other, how we're going to buy mom a house and we're going to help dad get a car and help our family and our grandmas. And we're having these conversations, and, we put these strategies. At the time, we didn't know exactly what the strategies were, but that's what we were using. We were using that routine, we were using habits, and we're being consistent. And that's what we did. And that's what I really am passionate about doing, because I did it. Anybody can do it. Maybe you can't be an NFL player and play 9 years in the NFL, but you can be successful at what you want to be if you use these strategies, if you use these habits, if you use a routine, and you use discipline.
Man, I love this so much. And it's like you and your brother, you've changed your family tree.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a legacy that's going to go for generations. Like,
And that's what we've always talked
incredible.
about. Yeah, is our family for so long. We've been underprivileged, for so long, going back both sides of our family. Nobody's ever went to college. We both graduated college with good grades. And my brother's obviously, he was better at the classroom stuff than I was. But it's looking back and seeing what we were able to do just gave me so much confidence that I could really help anyone if you use these strategies and you do these things to get to where we were in their specific career. Me and my brother have reached such a high level just doing these simple strategies of having a routine, getting up at the same time every morning, making sure you get your workout in, focusing on your health and wellness, just having these routines, having these habits, always having a book we're reading, always having a project we're working on, something to keep bettering ourselves. My brother, if he always has this allotment of his schedule, he's always working on some project, whether it's a certification, whether it's another degree, whether it's something, he's always bettering himself. And that's something I took. That's why I became a certified personal trainer, a certified fitness coach, certified strength conditioning. I just applied to Kelly Business School just to have that allotment of something to do to always better yourself. Find your routine, find your schedule, keep it going, keep moving forward, and keep showing up. And that's when you look back and a year down the road, 2 years down there, you go, wow, that's where I was.
Yeah. So why do you think it is that people can't do that or don't do that? It's
difficult. I always say it's simple, but it's not easy. And that's a lot of things. Why can't people stop eating junk food? It's simple, but it's not easy. Don't eat that. For me, you got to come up with certain strategies. Don't have that in the house. You don't want to watch Netflix, and when you get home, you can't, I got to watch this show. Unplug the TV, sign out of Netflix. You make it difficult for yourself to do these things. And these are strategies that happen. It's not just a single day where it clicks and it's going to be easy and you're just going to do it. You have to go through it every day. You want to go to the weight room, it's not like you're happy you're going to go there every single day. There's some days you are. There's some days you're, I can't wait to lift. But the days that matter the most, the times that matter the most in your habits and your routine is when you don't want to do something and you show up anyways. You don't want to go to the weight room. You end up getting yourself in there. You really want to watch this, and that you don't want to open the book and do this project. You do it anyways. And there's habit stacking things you can use, and certain things that me and my brother use. When in college, I used to be a video game guy. I wanted to play Xbox. And I look back and I go, what am I doing with this time? What am I getting out of this? I got to stop playing. But you go home after practice, you're tired. Instead of studying, instead of going to get a little extra workout and working on your craft. So now what I would do is I'd unplug my Xbox. I'd put my controller up high somewhere. I'd unplug my TV. So now when I do get home the next day, man, if I want to do Xbox, guess what? I'm going to have to go find my controller, plug in my TV, plug in my Xbox, and sign in all over again. So now it's like, I might as well just do this. And there's little tricks that we've always helped each other do and use in that way. And there's a lot of those things that we've done. And that's what a lot of everything, the things I speak on is how those little tricks can help and just help you to improve and make you more consistent. But it's just goes back to showing up every day.
Man, those are so many good little nuggets in there. And it's about removing the temptation, right?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You want to lose weight, it's like remove all the bad food from the house. Donate it, give it away, get it out of the house, right? It's like unplug your TV, right?
Yes.
Turn your phone off after hours. Hide your remote, right? It's like all those little things of like, you have to learn how to remove temptation, right?
Absolutely.
That's
temptation
so
bundle. One thing my brother does is something I've always loved is he has a couple shows he has to watch. Only time he can turn on Netflix is when he's on the Peloton or when he's riding a bike. So you don't want to work out? Okay. If I work out, I can watch this 20-minute show, this 30-minute show. So then he'll go work out just so he can watch the show. You know, you bundle things that way, and that's an improvement. You know, maybe it's a 1% improvement, but those 1% improvements add up and they keep you showing up and they keep you improving.
Oh my gosh, there's so much richness in that, and that could be applied to whatever it is in life, right? I'm reading a book right now called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and one of the statistics in this book I thought was fascinating, and it said that the average American reads roughly 200 words a minute, right? If that's true, and you were to read 1 hour every day for an entire year, you would actually be able to read almost 200 books in a year.
Wow. For 1 hour.
For 1 hour a day.
Wow.
At the average rate of reading 100 words a minute. Then, so think about that, 200 books.
Yeah.
And like my goal this year was a book a month, and I'm on track, and I'm like so proud of myself. Yeah. And then I read this and I'm like, oh man, I have a long way to go. I have a long way to go. And I'm a really fast reader. I bet my average reading speed is twice that. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing with my time then? And so it really forced this internal reflection of how am I choosing to spend my time? Because when I say I don't have time, that's not true. I'm giving my time to things unintentionally that are sucking up all my time instead of doing them on the things that I should. So I thought that was amazing. But then these were the other two statistics that I literally put the book down and was like, Rory, you have to come hear this. He's like, what? And these statistics, and these were from 2019 statistics. And so they're probably even far more greater right now.
Yeah.
And so here was the next one. The next one said the average American in a course of a year spends 700 hours on social media.
Wow.
That's twice what it would be to read 1 hour a day. So if we don't have time to better ourselves, look at what you're doing instead. So it's twice the amount of time. That's 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
In and off of social media. And I literally put the book down. I was like, no effing way. And so I pulled out my phone, because you know how your phone can track your social media time. And tell me what it is. And it was like this like aha moment of like every like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here. It's like, holy, it adds up. Then this was the one that I was like, unbelievable. The average American each year watches TV for more than 2,000 hours. That's 2.5 times the social media, not in place of, in addition to.
Oh my gosh.
So think about those things when it's like, don't have time to get healthy, don't have time to lose weight, don't have time to do this next thing, don't have time to read. It's like, I say these things, right? I have 2 young kids. I have a 2-year-old and a just turned 5-year-old running a business. I'm like, I don't have time to go do that. I don't have time. I'm like, yes, you do. Because my phone just said so. My phone said, yo, girl, this is how much time you spent on social media last week. And then I was like counting up, like, how many hours of Bridgerton did I watch? You know, and it's like all these things. And it's like, yes, you do. It's like, but we're not consciously aware of where our time is going because we don't have a schedule. We don't have a routine. We're reactive. We're living this default life of just letting everything fill up our time because we don't have a regimented schedule and routine that we're proactively trying to get better.
Yeah.
Love that so much. It's so good. And it is simple, but it's so hard, right?
It's so difficult.
But it's so hard.
Those are some crazy statistics. Like next speech I give, I'm going to put those in there. And there's a time and a place for social media and connecting, but that amount of time, you need to work that into your schedule and, you know, your routine. Say, hey, after I finish a project, I will give myself 5 minutes or 10 minutes to figure out social media. And that's how you bundle it. And you can make yourself be extra productive with it. If you give yourself an allotment at the end of a project, you have your to-do list, you go down. And I'm a big guy of having a to-do list. I know some people say yes, some people say no. Some people say yes on goals. Some people say no on goals. I'm big goals. I'm big to-do lists. That's what's helped me throughout my life when I've been the most productive is goals, to-do list, and you put your list up. Okay, here's are the most important things I have today. Okay, after I finish this, I will give myself 5 minutes here on social media. I'll give myself 5 minutes here. And that's the way it should be. And that's something I've implemented. And I know because I have a business, a social media business where I do influencing, I do brand partnerships, I do consulting with some of these companies. So sometimes I'll convince myself that what I'm doing is necessary and I need to do this for work. And I find myself just scrolling. Like, okay, what am I doing there? And you're convincing yourself that you're benefiting from that, but you're not being productive. And when you put it in, you fit it in after the end of checking something off your list at the end. Okay, I'm going to work on this for an hour. Then I'm going to give myself 5 minutes. That's when you really add your productivity, and it makes you more productive because after this you are going to get to that little dopamine rush you get from looking at social media.
Yeah, I mean, I have found for me, it's like I have to set a timer. It's like, if this is a part of my business, which it is, it's like, yeah, but this is what I'm going to allot to it every day. Yeah. Set the timer. Because otherwise, that's true. It's like you just start scrolling and you're like, oh, wait, what was I doing? What was I supposed to be doing?
Absolutely.
And somehow I've ended up on the Revolve shopping website. And I'm like, that is not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Focus, back on track. I love that. That's so good. That's so wise. That's so smart. And it's so applicable. No matter what your business is, it's like, I think it's a really great task for anyone who is listening to this show right now, is to take a quick inventory of what are you doing every day? Like, do you actually have a schedule? Do you actually have a routine for your personal brand, for social media, for podcasting, for learning, for reading, for improving, for creating content, right? Yeah. It's like, you got to have a schedule. Otherwise it's like the tyranny of the urgent, right? There's always going to be something that's urgent, that's happening, that fills up this time that you've set aside unless you protect it. And I think that's so applicable universally. It doesn't matter what you're doing as a parent, an entrepreneur, an athlete, doesn't matter. Okay. All right. I'm going to switch gears. I have two other quick things that I want to talk about before our time runs out together. So one of the things that you did that I think is really fascinating, that I did not know about you until well after we were friends and chatting, is you had this stint in the reality TV world. And, this was like, 6 or 7 months ago. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that about Clay. And then I was like, online. And then one of my friends was like, do you not know how many followers he has that are like just all these women that were like crazy for him? And I was like, I totally missed this part of Clay's life. I don't know how I missed this. So here's what I want to know. It's like, one, why did you decide to do it? Yeah. Right? How did that help you grow your platform, grow your audience? And then two, what are I think what would be most interesting is to this audience is why? Like, why do you think people follow you, right? Because I think a huge part of this is just exposure, right? It's putting yourself in front of a group of people that are like, no, I like him. I want to see what he's all about. But then how do you keep that going way after, in this case, a show ends? So walk us through that. Why'd you do it? How did it help your audience? And then how do you keep it going? Absolutely.
So I wish that I would have been a part of Brand Builders a long time earlier than this. It would have really helped me in my journey, but I'm here now and it's really been great. So when I go on the Bachelorette, I know my football career is winding down, and I'm starting to look and see, okay, what is going on afterwards? Mm-hmm. And as far as the Bachelorette, I get contacted by these people. They go through my agent. And you're like, hey, he's still on the football team. This is all in the off season. We'll let you do what you need to do. We just really want you to come on the show. And so I'm like, should I really do this or not? And I'm like, maybe there's, some things can come from it. And one of my passions was announcing football and being a commentator. And I had known a few ex-football players. Jesse Palmer, a friend of mine. He went from being the Bachelor to being on ESPN and all these shows. Jordan Rogers, same thing, football players being an announcer. I'm like, these guys have really used this platform to jump into their secc career. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking. I go, I'm single, I'm unattached. I'm not opposed to meeting someone and dating and getting married. I do want that. I want a wife. I want kids. I want all of that. So I would be open to that. But then also I think that this can be a way for me to move into a second career. I didn't know much about social media back then. I had a private Instagram. I was on Twitter for a little bit, and I had a Facebook page that I was connected to my family. Didn't even know people made money off of social media at that point back in 2017, 2018. So I go on the show and I actually end up getting hurt on the show, not emotionally, physically, So I ended up, yes. Well, physically and emotionally, I had to broke up. It was a really heart, warming moment here. And, but I actually broke my wrist on the show, and it was, kind of looking back, it kind of negatively affected my football career. But in hindsight, is 2020. How would I know it's going to happen? How would the professional football player get hurt playing football on The Bachelorette against a male model and a beer truck delivery guy? You can't make this stuff up. So I ended up
it makes for good TV. Yeah.
Great TV. So I ended up getting injured and whatever. And, I still go back to the NFL. And after that is when I tore my groin. It was kind of a spiral of things that happened. I ended up tearing my groin in my workout. So after that, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. And then I go on the spinoff show called Bachelor in Paradise for the same kind of reasons. I'm open to a relationship, hoping that happens. But I think it's a way. At that point, I start realizing this is a way that you can get exposure and build your brand. Maybe I could jump into announcing things like that. And it's really puts you in front of a big audience, ABC, prime time, 8:00. It's a great opportunity if you want to build your brand.
For the cult
that's
follower.
kind of, yeah. So that's what I did. I didn't leave there married or engaged. Sorry, Mom. She always calls me. She wants grandkids, but I'm focused on so many things right now, Mom. If you're watching this, it'll happen soon. I promise. So after that, you get this audience. And then for me, it was, the people that like you and they follow you, they see I'm posting a lot about fitness, health and wellness. And, now I'm starting to post more inspirational stuff and do things like that. And that's kind of how my journey went with The Bachelorette and gaining this big following. And I thought it was something that would disappear in a day. You get these followers, but it's been pretty consistent, and I'm surprised. And I think you have to keep consistently working on it, and it's not something that's going to happen. Keep putting forth good content, and then you work with brands. I'd never worked with brands before. And then people like the content you're putting out. They like how you brand yourself, what you stand for, and they keep working with you. I don't have the most followers in Bachelor Nation or anything like that, but I get a lot of deals with some reputable companies because of my brand. Health and wellness, I'm speaking on good things, and just keeping your image and your brand is so important. These guys like, wait, I got better engagement. I got better, but you don't have a brand. You don't have something that you stand for.
Yeah.
So that's a very important thing when it comes to working with these companies and these people when they want to hire you. It really comes back to your brand and brand building. Like I said, I wish I had went through some of these courses before I went on the show, but now I know more and more, what these companies are looking for, what these people want to do when they're hiring you. How do you sell yourself? That's all things that I've learned from you and Rory, and it's been great, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, I know, that's so good. It's, and the thing I love about this is a great reminder to anyone who's like working to build their audience, build their platform. It's like, I know there's so many things out there where you can like buy followers, and, you can buy accounts now, and it's like, why? Right.
Yeah.
What you really want is to be known for what you believe in, right? It's to have a reputation that complements all of your values and beliefs. And I love what you said. It was like, really, like, this show was a way to get more exposure.
Yeah.
But, it's like, but what they were getting exposed to is the real you, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, I'm all about health, fitness, wellness, positivity, schedule, routines, mindset. And it's like, although they met you here, right? They're following and staying with you because they align with you. They like you. They're getting value from you. They start to learn from you and trust you, which is why they stay.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's not any different. Like, I follow Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, right?
Yeah.
World famous soccer players. And Nashville just got our first soccer team, right? We just opened
nice.
Stadium. Yeah. And so I'm like really going all in on learning all things soccer outside of my kids' peewee soccer. And so it's going to be fascinating. It's just like, Cristiano Ronaldo has got the largest social media following in the world. He has almost 600 million followers across platforms. Yeah. Almost twice the size of the United States.
Oh, wow.
Enormous, right?
Wow.
But here's the thing. It's like, people first heard about him because of his amazing skills in his sport.
Yeah.
But once you go to his profile, he is hardcore health, wellness, fitness.
Yeah.
He's a diehard health nut. Nutrition. Yeah. It's about his family. I think they have 5 kids. It's about his love and commitment to his wife, being a father. Yes, he talks about soccer and modeling, and there's lots of shirtless posts. That doesn't hurt him, I'm sure. Yeah. But it's a lot about like what you put into your body, exercising, fitness, routine, schedule, habits, right? It's like people may have heard about him because of soccer, right? People may have learned about you because of The Bachelorette if they were watching. You know, people may have heard about me because of something, but if you can stay true to your brand, if you can stay true to the reputation that you're building, and if you get clear on what you want to be known for, then when people find you, it's easy for them to go, yes, I want more of that. Yes, I like this. Yes, I will follow this. Yes,
absolutely.
I want to engage with this. But if that's not clear, then I don't know what I'm coming for, right? Yeah. It's like, it's the same. It's like if I would have come to your profile, you know, back in 2018 when you were on The Bachelorette, or whenever that was, 17, and you were just pictures of you and chicks all the time, I would have been like, pass.
Yeah.
Right? But if I would have come and it's like, no, I'm looking for health, fitness, wellness, inspiration, motivation, habits, routines, it wouldn't have mattered where I learned about you from, because once I'm there, I'm like, that's what I want more of.
Yeah.
And that's for any of us. So it's like, the question is to everyone listening, it's what are you doing to increase your exposure? Right.
Absolutely.
And this was a great way of growing and building your platform. But it was in a way that was in line and true to who you were and what you wanted to be talking about already.
Absolutely. You got to have that brand, and that's how you get an audience and keep an audience, a loyal audience. And even after, you know, the show, a lot of people, you know, a lot of the people that go on these shows, their audience start to go down and dip, and you'll see people that don't really have a brand just keep posting themselves with, you know, friends or family and stuff. And you gotta give people a reason to follow you. And for me, it's a lot to do with health and wellness. And now I'm really working on some cool things to do with the motivational space, the habits and routine coming out there. And I'm really excited to show people that side of me too. So it's you got to give some reason. You know, what am I getting out of following this person, of staying, you know, involved in what this person is doing? And if you give people something, you generally give them something that they can use, they will follow you, and that will help both of you.
You got to give them some value, right? Like,
got to give value. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like give value, build trust. Again,
Yes.
Simple, not easy.
Yes.
All right, last question, Clay, and then I'm going to let you go. What do you wish people knew about you that they don't know right now?
That's a good question, AJ. And, you know, there's quite a few things. I mean, I don't want to tell people that my first love was trying to be a singer. And my mom had to tell me, Clay, you have a terrible voice and you're never going to do that. But that's something funny.
Mom. Thanks.
But something that I do, we've talked about a little bit on the show, is just where I've come from. I haven't spoke out much about my history, my background, where I come from. You know, people see me and, you know, living a good life and taking trips and, you know, and living in a nice home or a nice car, whatever. But I really want people to know that this is not something that I was given. For me, it was all about discipline, routine, and hard work. And, you know, I lived in a trailer with 12 people growing up. I didn't have my own bed until I went to college, shared a bed with my mom and my brother. No, this is where I came from. And this is what people can do if you just have the habits, the discipline, the routine. You can grow and you can change your life, even your family's life. Your family's trajectory is this way. Me and my brother both. It wasn't just because I hit a home run and could play NFL football. You know, some people might say, oh, you got lucky, you could play NFL football. Look at my brother. He didn't play NFL football and he's doing the same thing. He's working. Yes, he's working a great job. Him and his wife are doing very well financially. They have amazing kids. They keep bettering themselves. They keep this routine. They always have a project. It's something that anybody can do. And that's something I want people to know, that it wasn't given to me. I had to work for it. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting my message out there.
Man, Clay, I hope this becomes a pivotal part of your story. I hope that one day, for every kid, every young person, every adult who looks out there and says, woe is me.
Yeah.
Look at my situation. I can't do anything about it. That would be able to then look at you and go, but yes, you can.
Yeah.
But it's hard work.
It's hard
And
work.
it's discipline and it's habits and it's routine. It's like,
Yeah.
I love that you changed, the trajectory of your family tree, you and your brother. It's like, I would really love to meet your parents one day.
Yeah.
How proud of you guys they must be. And man, I love your story. I love your heart. I love what you're doing. So honored to get to know you and get to be a part of your story and your journey. Thank you so much for being on the show today. If people want to follow you online, where should they go?
You can follow me on my Instagram, clayharbs82, or you could just message me on my website, clayharboronline.com. And if you want to just talk to me about a possible speaking gig, consulting, health and wellness training, my website, it's all there, clayharboronline.com. Social media, clayharbs82 on Instagram. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on, AJ, and I look forward to seeing you and Rory at the next Brand Builders event.
Yes, likewise. And y'all, it's like, if you're looking for a great podcast host, go to clayharboronline.com, request him as a guest. If you're looking for a speaker at your upcoming event, go to clayharboronline.com, check him out. You will not be disappointed, I promise. I'll put all these links in the show notes, and we'll catch you guys next time on the Influential Personal Brand. See you later.